So let's talk to Karina now. Karina, first of all, her introduction. She's senior engineering manager with Eventbrite. Eventbrite is a data platform, basically a ticketing platform for events, and so many events are hosted there. So let's just talk to Karina. Given this Eventbrite is a data platform, and just want to know how this Eventbrite platform handles data and how we analyze the user interactions and make decisions and experiment with our users based on that.
Yeah, well, nice to meet you all. First of all, yeah, we are a ticketing platform, one of the leader companies in the world. I think it's important to mention that we are in 180 countries, just to see and realize and be aware about the traffic that we have and all the data that the platform has to handle every day. So in terms of amount of load, it's important to mention too that we have more than 6 lakh of creators and more than 53 lakh of events. And with this in mind, you can imagine that all the data that we have, well, to process is a lot. But what are the use that we do for take advantage of this? What we track is all the interactions that the user is doing. If you think, for example, in the event page, this is the page that has like the most traffic from the entire platform. And what we do there is to analyze what are the interactions that the user does every day. And what we do, in the last year, what we have been doing was to replace Google Analytics in post of a tool called a HIP. And we are doing that. And that was very important for us because we reduced a lot the JavaScript code. So that was an important achievement that we did in the last months. And on the other side, what we are doing is to use another tool that it's called Statsic. Then I can write it. And it's about experimentation. So with these experiments, I don't know, Renu, if this was your question, if I'm answering your question, or are you more interested on something different? If not, I can talk about the experiments.
Which is good. So you spoke about how it handles the data, and now I was asking also about how you analyze the data and the user interactions and what kind of decisions are you able to make based on that.
Yeah. For example, what we do is when we are going to launch a new feature, sometimes that it's very important to have the data there, because if not, you are going to start creating something and that probably nobody is going to use. So the first thing that we do is to try to detect with the product managers and the managers and also the engineer team. We have a data partner. Every team has one. And also we have a research partner. So what we do is the data team shared to us, for example, the usage of a feature. I'm going to use an example like reserve seating, for example. What is this? These are maps that you have, like imagine like big stadiums, because you are going to organize a music festival, for example. And then you want to do like an improvement there, because you are seeing that we compare between the 2021 and the 2022, the usage decrease. So why? Then what we do is to understand all the funnel to see where our users struggling, because sometimes it's because the feature is not super user friendly. So imagine that this is in the first page. So what we do is to do like some experiments. These experiments are something that we do in only 2 weeks probably, or a month. And then after 30 days, for example, what we do is to track if with this different, imagine that you are changing a color in a button, or you are moving, for example, the menu to another part. And then what we do is to contrast, like A/B testing. So we have the option A, for example, and what we do there is to put the bottom on the top and track how many users are converting, are being able to, for example, purchase a ticket in these maps, and in the B, you are trying another thing. So after these 30 days, what we do is to meet with the data partner, with the team, and with the product manager to make a decision. Well, sometimes there are no changes, but in the good scenarios, you are going to see like an increase in one of these two options, and then make the decision to probably iterate and improve that feature.
Hey, that's great, Karina. And, it was nice meeting Archana Ganapati, Dr. Archana, a couple of weeks back. And I see that she's based out of San Francisco, California. And you are sitting in Spain, and she heads the data organization, which you look at from Europe. And this platform is across the world in different geographies. How do you see that collaboration of all this data and analysis experiments you're talking about happening across geographies in different multiple time zones?
Yeah, well, I've seen a lot of things because I joined Eventbrite 5 years ago. So when I started at the company, it was very, very different. We only had at that time only 2 engineering teams. So it was pretty easy to us to coordinate. We had like this monolith. Some people in San Francisco were adding code, and some people in Argentina were adding code. But then when we started having issues, when we expanded, when we opened this new office in Spain, it was like, well, we were having 3 different time zones. So a test that has been like broken in San Francisco was affecting the releases in Spain. So then at that point, we realized that we were with this need of start breaking the monolith, start having like teams like co-locate. This means with the product manager, with the engineer manager, that's my role, and with some data partner, but all of them working in a small piece of small bit, sometimes are big, but in a service, and especially out of this monolith, and being able to do releases at any time. So for that, we implemented different tools for example, we increased the async communication. We use a lot of the email and Slack and the Jira, and it's not like something that we are going to be able to meet at any time, because, for example, in San Francisco at this time is 3 a.m. But so it has pros and cons. But on the other hand, I can say that we learn a lot to work with these different time zones that are like 3. Well, now we have also our office in Hyderabad, so it's another one. Spain and Hyderabad are like neighbors, so we are in a good position here. But it's very hard, and I can imagine for you to work with companies in the US. So I can talk a little bit about like the different mechanisms, but especially is to increase the async communication and try to work in like a separate scope without too much dependencies with other geos.
So let me just change the topic a bit. Data is considered very important and crucial today. They say data is the new oil, data and careers are very important. You see so much focus on data analytics, data science, but that hasn't been the case historically. Like you see software development careers, software testing careers, maintenance, we haven't seen traditionally data platform careers. So, and another side, I see you very passionate about mentoring, career guidance and career mentoring in terms of leadership. So there are multiple questions actually, and you can answer in your own way. Where do you find talent? How do you make them data engineers? Is there a key curriculum? How do you shape them in this career? Right? And then next would be, how do you make leaders out of them? So maybe all the questions relating to the career discipline, data, career paths, etc.
Yeah, I think you are right. This position, this role is pretty new, but it was something that it was important for during several times, and now more. So how can we find data analysts? I mean, right now there are like different ways. I think there is like at college, for example, in university, you already have these courses and these subjects, but if not, there are like multiple people that came from maths. I met, for example, the data partner. He came from a math. He's like a doctor in math. We also have Archana, that she started with computing. She was also a software engineer, and then she became like the senior director that she's today. In some way, it's something that if you feel this passion about the numbers, about the users, about the impact that you can have, because it's something that you have to have these skills to analyze data, to be aware about the different like insights that you can see, for example, these trends, to compare what happened 2 months ago, or to also understand the data. Sometimes at the beginning, I remember that we were freaking out because we had like some peaks or some decreases, but then we learned that this is seasonality. Sometimes it's because there are like different periods of the year when you are going to have like more traffic, and on others when you are going to have less traffic. So in some way, if I have to encourage people, is in Eventbrite, for example, you can just try it. As I did, I'm not studied to be like a engineer manager. I started as a software engineer, and then I mean, in my company right now, we have a career guide with all the expectations. So probably it's important that you can talk to other people in this role. That will be my advice about, hey, what are you doing? What is your day by day? And then see what are the expectations in the career guide, because then you are going to find like the dimensions that the skills that you have to have.
So that's great. So tell me how your own career mentoring journey has been within Eventbrite. What has worked, what has not worked, and especially I see huge diversity focus and a new center in Hyderabad. And some of the diversity experiences I was very fascinated with. The focus of your lady CEO on 50% women in diversity in your each center. So talk about it. How do you feel about it? How you maintain it? What are your plans for India? And what role are you playing in shaping this whole thing?
Yeah, sure. Well, this is one of my favorite topics because when I joined Eventbrite in Argentina, I'm originally from Argentina, there were no female engineers. So at that time, in my interview, they told me that, and I was thinking, what's the issue that these people have? Why they don't have female engineers? Because at college we were, well, not too much, but at least 3 and 5 boys, and it was not super. I mean, the balance was not so bad. After that, what we did, well, as you mentioned, I think it's very, very important that our CEO, Julia Hartz, it's a woman, because from the day one, I've seen like a lot of initiatives on diversity and inclusion. For example, one of the first things that we did there was to start like inviting another woman in leadership, creating this leadership first, and taking the time in hiring. Because if you, for example, want to hire fast, yeah, you're going to find all the people that is like the same, and probably they are going to follow a pattern. But if you really take the time to say, well, I'm going to, for example, in my company, we have the rule. It's a rule that we have just to see if we can find diverse talent first. If we can, because we already interview and nobody wants to join, then we go for referrals and other like friends that from people from here or another college. But I think during my 5 years here, if I have to summarize, for me, the word is opportunities. Here, I found that everybody has opportunities, and we don't care if you are woman, man, if you are with this particular religion, or if you have like, another, if you like to eat only vegetables, you know, or meat, but we try to respect everybody. So I think that's the main, the most important part. And on the different locations, what we have are like different committees. For example, in Spain, what we have right now is a WISE group. This is like Women in Software Engineering. So what we do is to meet each other every month. And what we do is to, for example, coordinate different sessions about, for example, I facilitate a session about how to negotiate a promotion. Then we have a person from platform that she facilitated a meeting about how to use Datadog or Splunk to track some error. So what we do is to have this community and work between each other. But I think the hiring is very important. And also the leadership support. If you don't have the support of your leaders, it's very hard to change, well, what was the original situation until today, that we, for example, in Hyderabad, our goal is to have 50 and 50% of diversity and inclusion.
And how has that experience been in terms of hiring and scaling in Hyderabad Center? And
well, for example,
there are folks here in this call who, and the whole purpose of this discussion about emerging careers is to generate some interest in platform like Eventbrite and the hiring that you are currently undertaking.
Yeah, well, for example, what we did was to hire our VP. She's also a female engineer. She's located in Bangalore, and she joined us, I think it was this month. Right now, we have 14 open positions in Hyderabad. We say Hyderabad, but some of the roles are remote too. And you can see this in our platform. That's eventbrite.com/careers. And maybe I can share you the link too. I'm not sure if I'm posting the chat, but I think there you will be able to find all the open positions that we have for data. We have a lot of open roles for data and for engineering and more.
You want to share your screen? You're welcome to.
Yeah, I can do that. 1 second, because I have to find the.
At the bottom, do you have share screen? And if you can do that.
I have permissions or access. Yeah, I have.
Everyone has actually.
Okay. 1 second. I'm not sure what I'm sharing here. Oh, sorry. 1 second, because I don't know what's happening here. I shared the link here. I don't know if you can share it, because
you can put it in. You can put it in chat, and we can carry on with the discussion.
I'm so Karina, sorry.
Today the DevSecOps is a very important discipline in product engineering, and especially when it comes to dealing with data and sensitive data. So DevOps is coming very well. And I see that Eventbrite is using microservices. How has it, what value you see in that breaking that huge monolithic application platform of Eventbrite into microservices? Can you share your views around that?
Yeah, in this point, I think there are like several advantages. For example, one of the good things of having microservices is the ownership that the team feels. When we are creating a new feature and we have our service, we are able to do the releases every day if we want, or every hour if we want. If you put like this in a monolith, you can do that when a company has like a bigger size. So in some way, it's important in terms of ownership. It's important in terms of delivering value to the customers, to the users more frequently, and also about scaling. When you have with these companies like a big amount of traffic, it's very hard to scale a monolith because you can do it as you can do with microservices. And so in some way, it's also important to take in mind that it's not something cheap, because you have to invest money, time, training, because all the team, the team has to handle everything by their own. So what we are having right now at Eventbrite is that a culture change. Like, I mean, we're like changing the mindset of the people. You know, we have to have DevOps mindset in our engineers, because they are going to be able to create a Lambda, an instance in AWS. They have to have knowledge about how to auto-scale, about how to react when you have failures. You have to be ready to fail. That's another concept that is important. What we do here is to simulate, for example, that the service is down and try to see how the platform is, what's the behavior on that? What's the impact on customers? Are they seeing like a 404 page, or are you seeing like a nice messages, or are we able to, for example, process an order, be able to purchase a ticket, and then we can fix this behind the scenes, you know? So a DevOps mindset is very, very important. Yeah, and it's also important to mention that the world is also changing. As you mentioned, having people from data is very important. It's also important to understand how this is working, not only to code and that's it, because you can code and use different styles, and probably there are like different ways to do this. And in some way, the important part is to code in a way that is efficient, to consume like less resources.
Good, thank you. And how about agile mindset in product development?
Well,
how do
here
you encourage and practice it?
Yeah, here at the beginning, we used to have like a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master role, but we don't have that anymore. These days, is the same team who is like autonomous in some way, and they decide. For example, it's true that we follow some guidelines. For example, what are the things that we follow in terms of agile? We have stand-up meetings, we have retrospectives, plannings, and refinement sessions. So with these refinement sessions, what we do is to, every engineer is creating a task and put like the description and all the information there. They also put, for example, if they will need some work from a design partner or more clarification from a product partner. Then in the planning, for me as a manager, what I do is to ask, hey team, we have these 3 goals. Are you think we are going to be able to achieve this in the next sprint? So it's important that during the sprint, all the things that you are committing there are going to be delivered. If you are not doing that, it's hard to understand what the team can deliver, you know? So what for me is more like a question to them. We have this goal. Do you think that with this task, are we going to achieve it? And they say, yeah, sometimes yes, or sometimes we have to change the goal. But the important part is that we commit there is something that we are going to be able to deliver. So in terms of agile, what we have are like technical program managers that we are coaching us, coaching the teams, and try to see like the different dynamics that we can implement. But in terms of the sessions that we have, again, is the stand-up sessions, refinement, retrospective, and planning. Oh, sorry, there is some noise there.
Smita, if you can go on mute, please. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, Karina, you've had very flourishing career, and I can see that you're enjoying the current phase in your career as well. I want your advice for the young generation. What kind of careers lie ahead? What is your, if you had 2-3 points of advice to make based on your own journey, so if you can share your viewpoint.
Yeah. Definitely the first thing that came to my mind is to have a mentor, have someone that inspires you. I think that's important. Someone where you can like ask all the silly questions that we think when we are starting, and you don't feel like confident, but try to find someone that you can always ask the silly question, because probably the question is not silly at all. So that will be the first thing. The second part is about being very open to feedback. I think the feedback is something that for me, it was very, very important to improve and to don't make the same mistakes again. And for example, sometimes is to just see another point of view, another perspective that I didn't realize. So the feedback is important. I'm not talking only about feedback like direct. Sometimes when you are starting as a software engineer or in data, and you have like someone is doing like this code review and adding some ideas to improve, or you are creating a document, just ask for feedback and be open to improve and to iterate. It's important to share with more people and add these good ideas. And the last point I think is, sorry. Sorry.
The last going through the cold and viral looks like flu.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, and the last point I think is to find what motivates, what is your passion. You know, for me that was the point. When I started, I mean, coding is still one of my passions, but then I discovered another kind of, I mean, it's solving problems too. Another kind of problems. The problems that people have sometimes are like harder than the ones that you have in the code. So that's why I found that my motivation and my passion was the management. But I know people that they try in the management and they say, no, I don't like this. And they come back to the IC role or the coding role. It's the same with data. I mean, if you are curious, let's try it and let's do it. And then you will find that probably you're getting bored about seeing numbers the whole day or not. And you're going to discover that this is your passion. So I think it's important to don't be like scary about, don't have these fears about starting something new and go out from the comfort zone. Try to find someone to follow, someone that inspires you, that someone that you can ask questions, like the silly questions, and then the feedback. So that will be my 3 points.
Hey, thank you so much, Karina. Now, are there things that you want to talk about which I did not cover? And then I will open it to our audience to ask any questions and interact.
Well, the last thing is that I invite you to contact me in LinkedIn. I will post my LinkedIn here in the chat too. And if you want to know more about something that you are interested in, any engineering topic, any product topic, because my company is a company that is oriented in product, sometimes it's a very good practice to, for example, to work with people from other companies and see how are these people doing with this issue. Please reach out to me. And if you are looking for a job, looking for a change, we have a lot of positions in our website, and probably you can just see if you are interested in some of them and apply. And don't be scary, don't be afraid. I mean, I'm here to create this community because another people did this with me, and I think it's something important. What you are doing here with a Woman Who Code, is something that is very, very important because it's creating this community. So
I see, Karina, that your HR leader also reached out about the open position, focus on diversity, also the roles being remote and all the flexibility being there. What I request, Hari, if you can download those positions that are open in Eventbrite and form a little community of interest groups to kind of see who are interested in these kind of profession and what is their proficiency level, and if they have questions and a bit of training needed, and do that so that those who are interested can find the right place.
Correct.
Thank you. Open to interaction, Saraswati, over to you. If you can share your viewpoint on the topic of data platform engineering and engage in discussions, please.
Thank you, Renu. Thank you, Karina. I think it was nice to have these different perspectives, and especially the fact that you all have started this Hyderabad hub is very, very exciting for the Women Who Code Hyderabad chapter. Now, one thing that I wanted to just check, right? So many times in the industry, we hear of talent shortage, or we see many reports which talk about, hey, by 2030, we might need so many data skills or so many other skills, and there is a shortage, right? And a lot of focus on upskilling hence. So have you experienced this, or what is your take on this one, Karina?
Yeah, what we experienced, especially was I mean, in data, some challenges that we had in the past were related to, especially with performance, also for user tracking. And as I mentioned before, for example, we had this need to change the tool from Google Analytics to HIP because of this. We were adding a lot of dirty code, JavaScript there, and things like that. So in some way, this was one of the things that the Archana's teams did. I'm not super in the detail because this is not, I mean, I just work with them, but I'm not internally part of that team. But in terms of data, I've seen another issues that, for example, when you do like a release, and for some reason you have this inconsistent in data on when you are upgrading, or for example, or migrating data because you want to upgrade the technology and you don't want to miss any data. So there are like different mechanisms in engineering, for example, to do like shadow traffic or double writes, things like that, to make sure that the new platform is like having the same data that the old one, and to don't do like downtime for the user. So in terms of what's the business value, it's very important to have people on this area. And my message is to just try to be very updated about the new tools that are creating, because everything is changing every day. And in positions like this, you have to be like aware about what are the last tools, what are the best tools in terms of the safe tools, and also in terms of performance.
Sure, Karina. Team, any other questions?
So first of all, Saraswati, I just wanted to say that we have on both sides, you as well as Karina, very passionate about data platforms, right? Because you also lead that here. So I thought this is a nice pairing, actually.
That's my kind of ex now, Renu, but yeah.
You've been CDO also, right?
Sorry?
You've been CDO as well, right?
Correct. So I think that data and then the platforms and how do we build it scalable, and that whole governance piece around data has become very key right now. So, absolutely.
So team, please feel free to interact. Akila, Vidya, Shivani, Kienga, Min, Neetu, Smita, Suganya, Supriya, please feel free to engage, ask questions. Because we are going to have many of you send your profiles to Karina. I know many of you are excited about data platform engineering roles in Hyderabad.
Neetu, why don't you get started with your question? I saw a raised hand by Neetu. That's how I kind of said that. Suganya, if you want to go, that's fine too. Yeah. Neetu, go ahead.
Yeah. Like Karina rightly said, remote learning has its place in education. And now streaming content from space using non-traditional methods is also possible. Right? So yeah, that's was a good session. So thank you.
Hari, any inputs on?
Sure, Renu. Hey, Karina, first of all, thank you and congratulations for choosing Hyderabad as one of your centers apart from Spain and California. definitely, I think like it will be a value addition for whatever the so far Eventbrite has been doing. I just have one question. Like when it comes to the data, we see like it's growing day by day. Earlier it was like small, but later on, like we are already dealing with big data. So according to you, like in the next 5 years, what would be the typical challenges on the data side that we can anticipate, and any thoughts like how we are going to address them, Karina?
And data is in all forms now. It's not just text or voice or audio or so it's everything. Yeah. Karina?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, I think, is to understand the data, but it's something that the human can do, you know? I mean, we can with the like a small piece of data, but when you have these big amounts, as you mentioned, is to have like the best algorithms, the best machine learning tools, and to also have people with this mindset too. Because and again, I'm a bit far away from what is the day by day, but from the data team. But I can see that it's not only about have this data and see that you have a decrease there. It's about to understand the whys, understand also how the system can or the platform can improve with the small things that you can change. For example, it's also about the business because it depends. For example, for us, everything should be 100% related to our customers. If we are going to do, like, for example, a modernization of platform, but you are going to impact the conversion of the platform, we are a public company. You have to have like immediately monitoring and tracking about, hey, what happened during these 2 hours? We didn't have any purchase. So when we talk about data, it's more than that. For me, it's machine learning is about having a solid platform with alarms and also monitoring and logging. Some tool, for example, Archana is well, she's the expert in Splunk, tools like that. Why Splunk was super famous and important and useful, because in the past we have to like be in the console trying to see the logs, you know, and now you have a tool to create dashboards to see immediately when something is wrong. So for me, that will be in 5 years. I mean, and it's something that is important now, is to have this data, but to have like fast mechanisms to understand what's happening with the data and be able to react in post of that.
So one thing I did not ask you, Karina, was about the history of your company. You know, it started as a small startup and you have publicly listed, and, you know, I heard both husband-wife partners involved in it. Tell us some nice stories.
Yeah, for sure. It's like every company in Silicon Valley, you know, that they started in the garage, something like that. They were like only a few employers, and it was 16 years ago. It was, I also have some templates that I can share about how it looks like Eventbrite at that time. It was just an HTML, very ugly. I hope that nobody gets offended about it, but without too much design. And it was a very simple monolith. And then after, I think it was 12 years or 11, we got public, and that was before the pandemic. And we were, sorry, we got public in the stock plan, and after that we changed a lot, because when you are a public company and if you are down for 15 minutes, all the people on Twitter are going to let you know, and we can't make the same mistakes. And at that time we have to be very careful. Every time we're going to do a migration or something or adding a new feature, we take a lot of well, the precaution, and we don't do like things in like only, okay, I'm going to put this in production and that's it. Sometimes what you are trying to do right now is to do faster releases, but we have a lot of testing there behind too. So right now, yeah, and one more last thing, that's something that I think is very important to mention, that before the pandemic, we used to have a lot of people working to assist our creators. And now we changed our strategy and our focus to have a self-service platform when a creator can just do everything by her own, you know?
And since it's still not a very large company, but has a very unique proposition and platform, pandemic has had impact as well as learnings for every business. And I understand that Eventbrite went through its own learnings in the pandemic. So what has it been like? And I hear that it has been a boon also for technology companies, right? Some of them have got more returns than what they would have expected, versus some who have gone through really difficult times during pandemic. What do you have to say about Eventbrite journey during this period?
Yeah, for sure, a lot of learnings. The first one was to learn to adapt to a hard situation. In terms of internally, we had to learn to be the entire day behind this computer and not to have this contact, because we went, all of us, to work remotely, and that was the hard part, the hardest part. In terms of the business, imagine that before the pandemic, we were going to impact big music festivals. The first thing was lockdown. Nobody is going to a music festival. So all these events were paused or stopped or canceled. So that was very hard for our business. We had to change our strategy. As I mentioned, we had to focus on online events because we had like a big increase. We improved a lot our integration with Zoom. In the past, that was very, very slow with like froze and some performance issues. And that was one of the first things that we did. And then try to see how our behaviors change. For example, yoga classes online. A lot of people started to creating yoga classes and yoga events on our platform. People like dancing online, all of things like that. And also, well, we changed some things. For example, for some creators, we created another features like credits, because they were losing a lot of money. So we gave them the possibility to have like to add credits and not to do like all the refunds in terms of money or cash to the attendees. Another thing that we did was to have these donation tickets that, for example, we saw that a lot of attendees were being like helping their favorite creators, donating money. You know, that was another thing that we learned about how people was supportive during these different like hard times. But in terms of our teams, it was like, well, we learned that we can work at home. That was another big learning too. And a lot. I think we work more when we are at home.
Team, we allow for one or two more questions in case any of you have. We do have time, and if you don't hear questions, I'll give some time back to all of you. So anybody wants to raise hand for questions?
Yeah, hi, Karina. This is Suganya here. First of all, I should thank you for the concept of having 50-50, giving the opportunity to women, 50% of women, right? So that is a good idea, and I really appreciate that. I am from manual testing background. So if I want to learn data science and take it as a career, so what are the prerequisites that I should concentrate on studying or learning? So which is really required in terms of data science career, because in some requirements, I could see all of the tech stacks being included in the requirements, as if we can, as if I could see some multiple tech stacks, but I don't know how far that is being used while working or during the job. So just would need your inputs on this. So what should I concentrate on studying as part of this prerequisites in terms of getting into a data science career?
Yeah, maybe it's better if I can share you, for example, one of our career positions, because in this open position, for example, you will find, yeah, I'm sharing the chat, the skill set that we are asking. This is for a senior data analyst, but as you mentioned, for example, you can start in another position, or not probably, or junior or N2, not senior, not necessary. But I think it's important that I shared it in the chat. I'm not sure if you are seeing here, but
yeah, I could see.
Okay, my first advice is to start with SQL, for example. SQL is not super complex. It's something that you can practice. Start doing some queries. You can download, for example, a database from the internet, and then start playing with that. Just set, for example, the engine, for example, MySQL, and try to start playing with that, doing different queries, select, delete, insert. Then you
SQL,
can.
I'm a bit aware of SQL. Okay.
Sorry?
Yeah, SQL I'm aware of. I've been working on SQL, but rest all coding standards like this, Python and ETL and all, I'm not sure. Okay.
Yeah, but for example, for Python, it's important that you know how to use it, but oriented to data. We're not going to ask you to start like coding, but probably to create some scripts to process data. So you can also, there is a lot of information on the internet, and you can reach out to me in LinkedIn if you want like specific courses I can share to you. Some of them are free, but it's important that you put your focus on scripts, okay, to process data. And for example, there you have like, when it's saying a familiarity with data engineering tools such as Spark, Hive, Hadoop, you don't have to know every tool, but at least understand what's the use of these tools, what are important. It's because you have to process a big amount of data. So maybe you can choose one of them. Maybe we can talk offline about this, but start with one of them and then iterate and see, for example, what are the problems that you want to solve. But again, in the internet, you will find a lot of information. And if you want like some coaching, then we can have like schedule a meeting, and I can share some links with you. And I ask Archana for some advice, and we can continue the conversation.
Sure. Thank you so much, Karina. Yeah.
You're welcome.
So Suganya, looks like Karina will mentor you and then hire you.
Yeah.
Waiting for that. I'll learn. I'm a quick learner as well, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. With the Python part, I can mentor you. With the data part, I think we will need someone else, but I can contact you with the person. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, any closing words, Hari, Saraswati, and then we wrap up. If not,
Yeah,
thank
good
you
then.
everyone. Yeah, go ahead. So thank you everyone for the wonderful interactions. Thank you, Karina. We really enjoyed, and looking forward to more interaction and collaborative working with you. Thank you everyone for presence.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.